Hi everyone, my name is Sebastian and welcome to Skylight Designs, my YouTube channel. So in this video, I wanted to describe a specialized skill set that could constitute a high income skill set to make you a decent amount of money if you could find the clients to do this service. And I really want to to describe this because this is quite unique. This is not like just simply copywriting um, or e-commerce. Well, I mean, it could be a little bit of e-commerce, but it's not just SEO or copywriting or digital marketing or just something kind of conventional. It's kind of a very specialized skill set that could interest you if you like this sort of thing. I'm just going to reload this website just to show you how this would look. So this is a website that loads, and this was created by Anderson Mancini. I will credit him because he is very a gifted creative developer that makes these incredible websites. And I want to share with you a little bit about how my thought process about what the specialized skill set could be all about. So here's an example of one website. So this would be for the Nikon Z7 mirror lens. So if you scroll down, you'll notice that you have some animation, and it's not actually a photo of a camera, but it's actually a 3D model that moves as you scroll down. And you have these very smooth transitions as the camera displays information, and like you see the components of the camera. So even creating a landing page like this would be very interesting, right? This would be a nice finished product, to create a landing page for your clients. I was thinking that what could be done as a specialized skill set would be to basically create something very similar to this. But the only difference is that instead of just having a landing page of a 3D product, have it so that instead of just having this presentation as simply eye candy, which is very impressive eye candy nevertheless, have it be actually used to describe and to explain how a product functions or how it works, or how it really benefits you as far as functionality or what it does. So for example, if you were to talk about a heart rate monitor or something like this, you wouldn't be talking about the intrinsic parts of a heart rate monitor and all the, maybe you could, but you wouldn't talk about all the minute detail of how a heart rate monitor works. You would actually maybe have some, like, a graph of a heart rate that would basically you would use a creative presentation to really describe how that heart rate monitor would help you in your training. So it would be a very creative sort of descriptive animation. And what you could do essentially is you could actually render out a video, okay? And what you could do is you could play the video as you scroll down. So basically you're gonna reveal the information of the video as you scroll down. And you could actually mix that in with 3D models as well. So you could have like a 3D model of the heart rate monitor that you could like rotate and things like this. So imagine you had like a heart rate monitor that you could have a very descriptive like creative presentation about how it would work. So this is just like a very nice landing page, but I find that this sort of thing is still a little bit limited as far as potential, because like it's already extremely impressive, but the only thing I see the problem with it is that other than the very rich presentation about how it's showing the camera, if you had presentations that could describe how products function or how they work or how they benefit you, with particles, with animation, with visual representations, rather than just showing highly rendered 3D models, I think that could be used more for education rather than purely for visual appeal. When you use visual graphics for education for the purpose of discovery and learning, that could be a very powerful tool. So I think like one example of this, which is very impressive. I misspelled the. So this is Animagraphs, and this is created by Jake O'Neill, and you can see that these presentations, this is just high level stuff. But you can see, for example, in this example, how the Formula One race car works. You could see in this video. I'm just going to reduce the volume and talk over this. So basically, it's a video that is playing. I'm not saying to go this high end because this is incredible. But basically, like, also that website was also incredible. This is all incredible work, right? And it's just a matter of like that. If you were to, like, I'm just showing this as an example where instead of just purely have 3D for presentation, if you notice like the way you have added elements like wind and things like this. So you have particles and wind that are added elements with diagrams showing you how things work. This is what I'm talking about, where it's like you're not just showing 3D for the sake of showing 3D. You're actually showing it in the purposes of education, in the purpose of actually explaining how things work and how they function, and how and then you could truly get the benefit of how a product works could truly be shown by not only showing the 3D but also showing particles and elements that interact with the 3D model. And this hopefully could be explained either through a breakdown of the model, or like maybe you could create this animation either through a button click or through scrolling. But it would have to be incorporated in a pretty creative way. And I just want to show you like a little bit ahead in this video. Even some of the 3D models could be transparent and you could see through them. So when you're working with something like this is truly for the sake of education and not so much only for visual presentation, but for education. And this is what I'm talking about. This is exactly what I think would be a real true benefit out of showing these 3D models and going through all the effort to render them. Now, this is a video, and also a very, very impressive video. So imagine like you could have a website like this. Now, this is also very impressive, but imagine like you had a website like this where instead of just the 3D model that is presented in a fully rendered view, you actually have particles, or you have like elements that are showing how it functions, how it works, so that you could really demonstrate the functionality of a product. And I know you could describe it with text. This is really interesting. I like how this comes apart. This is really cool. This, how it comes apart here, is really interesting. But let me just forward a little bit. So like imagine you had something like this, or it's like you have an electric drill. This is another example from Anderson Mancini that I expanded upon. Basically, it's a website that you can scroll, and you could as you scroll down, the drill moves in 3D space. And also you have a customizer here, which when you customize it, you could rotate the drill in any direction you want. And then you could also change the color. What I like about this is that when you combine this with Craft CMS, you could actually have a live preview of this drill, and you could change the text. So you could change the information in it. So you can call it power drill, for instance, right? And you could update the text live. Almost live. Like you have a live preview, and then you hit publish, and it'll publish it on the website. You could also edit like all this other information too. You could edit links. You could edit that information, but you could combine Craft CMS to really edit not only the text but the actual pretty much all the content on the website aside from the 3D model itself. If you had something like accordions or carousels, like for instance, right? Um, like for example, if I don't mean to keep showing my own website, but imagine like you had something like a testimonial. Okay. So with Craft CMS, you could add these testimonials on the fly. I'm not going to show that right now because it's going to take too much time. But you could basically add these testimonials in the back end on the fly just by adding a testimonial. If you had a slider image, if you had a slider here that would like slide, you could add an extra slide on the fly without necessarily having to code that. And if you go to the about page, if you had these accordions, actually no, let's go to the services page. It would be under the services page. So like these accordions, for instance, all these small elements, like you see these accordions, you would be able to add them on the fly in the back end. So you just add one, like add an accordion, and it just adds it. And then like you could reorder them. You could add the text. You could change the question. You could change the answer. You could add as many as you want and reorder them. And all that could be achieved in the back end. But I'm not going to show exactly how that works because it's just going to take too much time. But basically, like Craft by itself is a very powerful content management system. And if you combine that with this sort of thing where you could combine 3D with it, that would be very powerful, I think. Now, a website that allows you to create work like this is called Pixatronics. I'm just going to go to it on Firefox here. Okay. So this is a website that allows you to make real-time 3D graphics. And here, like this is the WebGI framework or the SDK, I believe, that allows you to showcase products in full 3D with incredible details on websites and apps. And what's really nice about this is that you could showcase products in full 3D. One thing I really noticed about this is which is interesting. If you go to the SDK, okay, and you go to GLTF animations, one thing I thought of, which would be neat, is like imagine you could break apart and expand a product. So I'm just going to show you an example of that. So if I just go to YouTube, okay, and I go to, let's say, I just go to web rotate 360. Okay, web rotate 3. How about, that's fine, like something like this. I go to videos. This is an example of a product that you could expand and show the different components of the product. So like I was mentioning with animagraphs, where you could actually explain how things function, this is something you could do in code as well, where you could expand products and have them and have the annotations explain how they work, right? So you could expand and contract it together. I thought this would be pretty interesting, right? So imagine you have a product that you want to explain and you want to maybe show the individual parts, or you want to show particle effects of how a product would work. You could demonstrate that on a landing page like this. What's really cool is if you look at something like Luma AI, this is a technology that allows you to capture any object, okay? And just by using your phone, I'm just going to reload it because it didn't load. I don't think it loaded properly. Maybe the landing page is loading. I'm not sure what's going on. Yeah, it's a bit slow to load for some reason. But what's really cool about this is that you could actually capture all these images. I'm not sure why it's not loading properly. Because this should be moving. Like something's off about this. Anyway, but Luma AI, like what this does is that it allows you to capture. There we go. Allows you to capture any object and turn that into a 3D mesh using AI. So you could do this just by using your phone. I'm really not sure why it's lagging right now. It's not normally like this. But you could capture this using your phone. And basically it scans the object and turns it into a 3D model. I'm just going to close this. And what you could do is then you could upload the model to something like Blender or Cinema 4D. So this is Blender. So you could upload the model to Blender, and then you could export it as a GLB file or GLTF or GLB file. Once you texture it, you could also, even in Cinema 4D, you could export it as a GLTF file. And once it's a GLTF file, you can go to, see how it says GLTF animations? Well, you could go to WebGI and you could upload a GLTF file using this and basically showcase it. And also what's nice about this is that you could have GLTF animation. So imagine like you bake in an animation within your 3D model. And by the way, this doesn't necessarily have to be completely like based on like something you see on the exterior view. Like this could be, because it's 3D, you could actually model anything, right? You could model something that would be inside of something that you not normally see. So if you wanted to like model an engine, or you wanted to model organs or anatomy or anything that would be not normally accessible to the human eye, because you would be seeing it on an exterior. If you want to see an interior of how something works, you could model the animation in a 3D software, create these GLTF animations. And basically what's cool about this is that if I just run this pen on CodePen right here, you'll notice that I'm not sure what's going on with my internet. It's like all lagging and everything. Okay. So basically at a click of a button, like you could actually animate the 3D model. Now I know this may not look so impressive. You just have a square, a circle, and a donut here. But the thing that's cool about this is that, like, imagine you click a button, right? And it starts animating the 3D model. So with that, it could be very complex, and you could have very complex animations that you could trigger just by clicking a button. So it's called just by handling an event. So basically the result of all this, like I don't have an actual result to show, but it'd be something similar to this where you would have a landing page, but the difference is you would have these products expand, you would have graphics that would show how they work, that sort of thing. And not only that, but with Craft CMS, you would be able to live preview it and edit the text and information. You could also be able to insert buttons, insert links, change the information, change any dynamic content that you want. And all this could be done using a live preview. So, and maybe that's, a little bit vague, but basically the landing pages that we would create would be something along the lines of, showing how products function, how they work, the benefits of them, having these landing pages be like this, mixing in 3D and web graphics. And the tools to do this would be, we could probably we could use Craft CMS. Craft CMS, I'll just show you, is this. It's a powerful content management system that you could, again, my internet is slow for some reason. It's a powerful content management system. And allows you to edit information on the fly. And Three.js, which is an abstraction of WebGL. But if you wanted to use something interesting, you could use something like Dora. I believe it's called Dora.go or Dora.run. And like what's interesting about this is that this is the website. This is really cool. This may surprise you. You could design and publish 3D and animated sites without code. So with this, like you could do the 3D animated work in a web browser and create these educational explaining landing pages without necessarily needing to code. But I would prefer not to use probably Dora, but I would prefer to use something like Pixatronics, because it's a little bit more powerful and like it's more accessible to developers, I would think. Dora is probably pretty cutting edge for people that are not into coding, but if you're into coding, I'll probably use Pixatronics. And I'm hoping that was a relatively understandable presentation about this idea. In a nutshell, it's basically, educational landing pages that are in 3D that explains how products work, and you could still edit the text and information on those landing pages. Thanks for watching. Take care.